God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to the 17th episode of Your Journey Is Not Over. Hello to everyone. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey, and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. I want to start off today by saying thank you to my very dear friend, my travel buddy, my Ethel to my Lucy. Thank you for the laptop that you donated to me at the very beginning of my journey of doing this podcast. I know a couple episodes ago, I thanked friends for office supplies and a desk, so in no way did I mean to leave you out. Never ever. Thank you so, so much. I do want to take this time to thank everyone for the love and the support that I do receive. Let me say this, sharing about God is not a competition. We all have our own ways and our own purpose, respectfully. As I said in my last podcast, my life was getting ready to change, and I had no clue, no heads up. It was a huge surprise to me. I was told a week prior that my mom would be coming to Tennessee to pick me up. That never happened before. So, okay, what's up? When she did show up, she had a man with her I had never met before. I had seen my mom with lots of different men, but again, I'd never met this one. Oh, wait, it gets better. As soon as they arrived, I was introduced. And she sprung on me that they were getting married the very next day. What? Sure didn't see that coming. Just met him in less than 24 hours. This man I literally just met will be my new stepdad. Again, okay, this is going to be interesting. I can't help but think of that movie, Parent Trap. Seriously, let me say this. I don't know what illusion my mom had sold this man, who, by the way, was becoming my new stepdad. Probably that she was June Cleaver and we lived in Mayberry, which was so far from the truth. Again, her illusion. Did this man even have a clue of how our lives really were? I'll take a guess and say, not a chance. Again, this was going to be interesting. He was a nice man, calm, and I was told he was a school teacher. Not at my school. He taught at a city school, and I was in a county school. So, they got married the next day. My mom's 5th marriage. I had an adopted dad before that, remember? I no longer had anything to do with him. Key word I always say is adopted. So other than my brother, there had not been any man of the house for years. And my brother had been made to go live with family almost 3 years prior. So if I'm being honest about my feelings at the time, I had gotten used to living alone pretty much. And at a young age, wasn't used to rules, curfews, checking in, asking if I could go places. Hard to believe that at that age, I was running my own life. And the only people I answered to was always my brother, something that didn't stop even as an adult. My brother could put the fear of God in me on the telephone. Being raised by him, I just knew he did not play. When he said something, he meant it. So of course I listened to him. And my boyfriend was pretty much in charge of me. I should have left pretty much out of that sentence because my boyfriend was in charge, never in a bossy way. With him being older and being in my life for over a year at this point, and making sure I had food and doing the things that I truly needed someone to do. He would make sure I was up for school, check my grades, check on me if I didn't see him several times. I guess I can look back now and say he gave me structure, something I had never had before. So now someone new was getting ready to try and step in and conquer this 12-year-old that was just too grown. Let the initiation begin. This man who became my stepdad was in for a rude awakening. Can't help but laugh about it now, but back then it was not so funny. I equate it to someone that's never worked in the jungle trying to tame a wild animal. And as he soon found out, that was going to be challenging. Looking back, I truly feel sorry for him because he had no clue what he signed up for. No way he could have known, because my mom was so good at what I call living in her own little fairy tale, where nothing or no one is what it seems. When the three of us left Tennessee to go back to Indiana, a 6-hour drive, so it was plenty of time to get to know a little bit more about my brand new stepdad. It didn't go so well, as I recall, because I let them both know when we got back to Indiana that my boyfriend would be coming to get me. Of course he was. I'd been gone for a month. We missed each other. Back then, it wasn't like now, where long distance is free. You can make long distance calls, and then the fees would show up on your phone bill. So we had talked several times while I was in Tennessee, but not for long periods of time. So yes, a lot of things to catch up on. Again, my brand new stepdad had a lot to get caught up on as well. Yes, my boyfriend was 6 years older and so happened to go to the same high school that my stepdad taught at. And yes, my boyfriend had a car. And yes, my boyfriend had more authority over me than my own mom. And on this trip home, because my mom was wanting to pretend that we had this normal dynamic and she was in charge and mother of the year, I was being told no, I couldn't go with my boyfriend when we got home. Get ready for round one. And that's just the beginning of many rounds to come. Let's see who will tap out first. If I would have been my stepdad, I think I would have ran and never looked back. But as my journey continues, you will see how things unfold. And I'm so grateful he didn't. Just a prime example of how God knows what and who we need. And when he delivers that to us, most of the time, we fight it. We fight the changes. We are scared of the unknown and don't want any changes in our life. What's the saying? God makes you uncomfortable so you will move, and so you will accept the changes, people, places, and things in your life. If you think about it, every time you resisted a change, but it happened anyway, most likely it became one of your biggest blessings. We are creatures of habit, so God has to throw some curveballs in there to get you where he wants you to be. And this curveball was a brand new stepdad for me. And that brand new stepdad wanted to set some rules, restrictions, and structure into my life. I definitely was resisting and not wanting to conform to someone else's rules, who, by the way, I just met. I know now my stepdad had no clue what all I had been through. How could he? I'd been abandoned, starved, abused, mentally, emotionally, physically, and sexually. I had a horrible relationship with my mother. Actually, no relationship at all. And not to jump off of the subject, but that is one thing I do want to address. Over the years, even into adulthood, I've had numerous people, some friends and some family, who for some reason thought my relationship with my mother was a weakness of mine. So therefore would go to extreme measures to rub their mothers or their relationships with their mothers in my face. Some not so subtle as others, but still my intuition was always on point, and I would know exactly what they were doing. In my head, I would be like, do they not know how silly they sound? Literally in my head, I would be laughing. As always, I would wonder what it is about me that they felt the need to try and hurt me, when I've been nothing but nice, kind, and loving to these people. Had my grandma not done her job as well as she did, those intentional, hurtful comments or innuendos might have been effective, but because I was taught who I am, God's daughter, and where I come from, and who exactly I bonded with, God bless them. Just know that we are not built or created by God Himself to intentionally hurt another human being. In fact, we are to uplift and encourage each other, not try and tear each other down. And when another human being intentionally sets out to hurt another human being, God sees and hears everything. He is not blind, nor is he deaf. What I've learned since being on my healing journey is that when people set out to hurt me, or anyone that has done nothing but being loving and kind, there's a problem within the person wanting to hurt someone. Hurt people hurt other people, is what I've been told. And all the while, some people are so mangled and hurt within themselves, or your light shines so bright that you must irritate their demons. So some people make themselves feel better by hurting other people intentionally. I can't and probably will never be able to wrap my head around it. But to all those that truly thought that was going below the belt to hurt me, one sentence will sum it up. You don't miss what you never had. Because of this, I'm so grateful that I had my grandma and she kept me grounded. And yes, I had her and I miss her every single day. So the next time people have an urge to hurt someone else with what they have, whether it be a person, material things, possessions, whatever, please remember this and think about this. God giveth and God will taketh away. Our God does not miss anything. He will humble you real quick. He takes really good notes. When I sat down to write my podcast, I pray for God to give me the words I need to write. I don't always stay on task or the subject of which I'm on. I write what I'm led to write. I recently described it to some friends. I sat down to write and I pray, and my pen just goes. I channel into the memories of what I'm writing about, and before I know it, I have 8 or 9 pages full. It just flows. So if I get off track at times, I do apologize. Back to coming home from Tennessee. We got home and I called my boyfriend and quickly filled him in on the latest and how I couldn't go with him that evening. That was something that you didn't tell my boyfriend. He had been there for me, fed me, looked after me, and was in charge. How do you tell someone that stepped all the way in on all aspects that you no longer need their help with me? You don't, nor can you. His response was, I will see you soon. Be ready. Of course, I'm going to listen to him before my mom. Since my brother was gone to boot camp, there was no way of my mom calling him and blowing up the situation or putting her own spin on things to get him to get on to me. By the way, another game she played our whole lives. Always trying to put a wedge in between us. And if I'm being honest, they ganged up on me a lot. She made my brother parent me. This was, of course, before my brother seen through her lies or the delusional spin she would put on things. When he would get a chance to call home, of course, I would get a talking to harshly, and I would break down in tears, always. I wouldn't defend myself. I would just listen and agree. Something I'd learned to do at an early age, just to go along with whatever. It seemed easier. So she couldn't call my brother. It was going to be something she was going to have to face and handle without him now, and with my stepdad, who had no clue. My boyfriend did show up, and let's just say, the battle of my bosses began that very day. I won't hold you in suspense. My boyfriend won that first battle, hands down. He was very level-headed and always spoke with logic and facts. He did not back down from my mother ever. So round 1 was complete, but there were a lot more rounds to go. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Thursday, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been